She don't wanna fly no more. Slow it down, slow it down. She wants a ring, she's slamming the door. A baby don't cry, what you in a hurry for? Slow it down, slow it down. We are wild and young, and we have just begun. So slow it down, you move a little too fast. You take a deep breath, you make this last. And these should be the best days of your life. So right tonight, I said we are wild and young. Oh, we are wild and young. Well, the green fog came a little out of the blue. What happened to the days of doing what we wanted to do? Slow it down, slow it down. Well, we should get back and just have a little fun. Kids getting high, have a couple beers in the sun. Slow it down, slow it down. While we are wild and young. Oh, we have just begun. I said we are wild and young. Oh, we are wild and young. We are wild and young. I said we are wild and come on, slow it down. You move a little too fast. You take a deep breath. You make it last. And these should be the best days of your life. So right tonight, I said we are wild and young. I said we are wild and
Good afternoon, and welcome once again to the Ellen Carrington Show. I thought I'd do a wrestling topic theme show today after being inspired by my guests last week from ProSportsFix.com. I'd like to once again thank Matt and Anthony for their insights and hope to have them back on the show soon. We had a good time last week, and actually we kind of learned a lot from each other. I enjoyed myself. But today's topics begin on a somewhat tragic note. For those of you who haven't heard the news by now, a former WWE developmental wrestler was arrested last week. It was July 24th, in fact. This is for the stabbing death of his girlfriend. Brian McGee, who wrestled under the names Donovan Ruddock, Donovan Terrell, and D.T. Porter, was arrested following a car chase in Tampa and will be charged with the murder in the stabbing of his girlfriend, Bianca McGuy, once he recovers from his injuries from that crash. In 2009, Pro Wrestling Illustrated ranked McGee 476 out of 500 best single wrestlers. He was a member of the now former Florida Championship Wrestling roster from December 2010 until his release in September 2012. He was from St. Louis, Missouri. And those who knew him portrayed him as a nice guy. Actually, a few news sources reported last week that he posted a disturbing Facebook profile picture about 12 hours before his arrest. McGee was apparently still wrestling on occasion prior to the murder. A Facebook post from February 2013, stated that he had confirmed a few bookings in the Midwest, but the post didn't elaborate where exactly he was going to be. But anyway, he also appeared in promotional posters from federations such as I Believe in Wrestling in Florida and Zero One as Donovan Terrell, recent as March and April of this year. A friend of McGee's who wanted to remain anonymous claimed that McGee's time in developmental changed him. He said that McGee's release, quote-unquote, hit him hard, and he became a different person from before he'd signed with FCW. And the same source noted that before McGee was signed and sent to Developable, he was, quote-unquote, the nicest guy who loved wrestling and was cordial to everyone's family. While in developmental, however, McGee got injured and spent 10 months on leave or whatever you'd like to call it. And during that time, he was apparently ribbed by training staff members for, quote-unquote, milking his injury and being out too long. I think that would make most well-adjusted persons snap. But who knows about this guy. But anyway, the friend said he'd been trying to get Brian McGee to move back to St. Louis, and McGee was more depressed in the last couple months after his wife left him and the recent loss of his nephew. And a few friends in St. Louis were encouraging him to return to the area. And I'll add on a note here that several media outlets noted that McGee made a Facebook post while in developmental, which appeared to be a cry for help, but he said his Facebook account was hacked at the time. I'll read the post in question. It was later deleted from this Facebook page, and it reads like this. Guys, I don't know how much longer I can handle this. Every day is a constant struggle to keep my sanity. I love wrestling, and it's all I ever wanted to do. Already going crazy since I've been like 10 months now, but it gets worse. Every day a trainer goes out of his way to rib or disrespect me in front of the boys because I've been out so long. I can't clear myself. I want to wrestle more than anything, but I don't know who I am anymore. It's so effing hard. I just feel it just building inside of me, and I don't know how much longer I can contain it. I have daydreams of just effing everyone up on some real shit. I'm not a kid, I'm an effing man. But what do you do when the people in charge of helping you get to the main roster are the ones making your life the hardest? I've been drinking almost every day. It's to the point where I keep vodka and gin in my trunk. Help me. Yeah, think about that one for a few moments, ladies and gentlemen. But a relative of McGee, after he was, his arrest, the relative posted a message on Facebook following, the murder. Quote, we are devastated as to what happened. Please pray for both families, especially the young lady and her family. I can only imagine what they are going through right now. And it's tragic for both of them. As I get any updates on that, I'll broadcast it on a future show. So far, I haven't read anything as to he's been formally charged or when an arraignment is or whatnot. But on that subject, here's something, especially for you dog lovers. A member of the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office played a role in McGee's capture, but this wasn't the average deputy. Chino, the canine dog, served with the Sheriff's Office for 5 years and officially retired last Thursday night after aiding in McGee's apprehension. Talk about going out on a high note, huh? Best wishes to this lovely dog for a healthy, happy, and well-earned retirement. And on that note, we're going to move on to some more positive news. I think we could do some uplifting things today. Thanked Matt and Anthony earlier. And while we're talking about them, Pro Sports Fix featured a recent interview with Stro Maestro. In case you missed the initial broadcast, I'm going to post a link on our Facebook page. And during this hour-long interview, you have to check this out. It's a fantastic interview. Stro discussed his entire career, including time in WCW, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, Japan, and other time highlights. He also talked about his acting accomplishments. He, gave us perspective on the dying days of WCW and what it was like dealing with constant behind-the-scenes changes. Yeah. I'd recommend to listen, especially for those who are old-school wrestling fans. Again, I'll also post the link to that on our page at the end of today's show. And another site I'd like to highlight today, and I've wanted to get to this for a long time, but unfortunately I didn't, but I couldn't go without including WrestleView. Now, this wrestling site has been around for about 16 years, and I've been a fan for almost a decade. I also had the honor of doing SmackDown recaps for WrestleView from 2004 to late 2005, and I continue to visit the message board on a daily basis. WrestleView is more than just the average wrestling site, however. They offer everything from VIP membership, where fans can sign up for little as $4.99 per month, up to $59.88 a year. Imagine that's $60 a year, and here's what you get. VIP members are treated to a variety of quality broadcasts on WrestleView radio, video chat room, audio vault, technical support, and other great offers. So you're getting a lot for your $5 a month or your $60 a year, whatever the case may be, but check it out. WrestleView also offers up-to-date news on all things professional wrestling, show recaps, frequently asked questions, title histories, a wrestling information archive, and even an Ask WrestleView feature. They do post job opportunities on occasion. Of course, you don't get paid for them, but hey, the experience is what counts, right? However, on a side note, I'd like to add they do not have any job openings at the present time, but keep checking back because you never know. Things do change from time to time. And I'd like to add that International Wrestling Cartel is at it again. If you missed the last show, now's your chance to not just see one, but two new events. The first show, Cage Fury, will take place Saturday, August 24th at the Court Time Sports Center. That is located on 95 Enterprise Suite, Suite 100 in Elizabeth, Pennsylvania. It's a special bell time of 7 p.m. Ringside reserve tickets are $25. General admission are $20. And kids under 10 get in for $15. On any of these tickets, all tickets, you can go to the International Wrestling Cartel website and order them there. Get yourself hooked up for a good show right here in Western Pennsylvania. But if you live in West Virginia and don't want to travel to Pennsylvania, guess what? You're going to get your shot the very next day. That's right. August 25th presents Mountain State Madness 5. And it will be held at the Wells School building located on 717 Washington Street in Newell, West Virginia. That bell time is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And tickets for Mountain State Madness 5 are ringside reserve, that would be the first two rows, for $15. Your general admission is $10, and kids under 10 get in at $7. And these tickets can also be ordered online for $7 or $10, 15, 25, whatever. If you have the opportunity to go both shows, by all means do it, because it sounds like a great card and a great time. So make sure you hit yourself up at the end of August if you don't have anything to do, and you're kind of burnt out on preseason football, although I don't know anybody who would do that because preseason's usually about 4 or 5 games. But another independent promotion worth noting is the East Coast Wrestling Association, which is considered one of the premier independent wrestling promotions. ECWA was established in 1967, which is the longest running independent wrestling federation. So check it out. Now listen to this. A lot of good guys come out of this promotion. They started in ECWA. And they would include, I'll toss out a few names here, Charlie Haas, Billy Kidman, Christian, the Hardy Boys, Christopher Daniels, Low Key, Bryan Danielson, as we now know as Daniel Bryan, Austin Aries, and AJ Styles, among others. They all started in ECWA before making the leap to the major leagues of WWE and TNA. Isn't that great? And there's probably more guys to come from there, so keep watching. ECWA established its annual Super 8 tournament in 1997. It was a hotbed for talent to compete and serve a platform for greater exposure and opportunities. And in 2011, ECWA also developed the sister tournament of the Super 8 known as the Kangaroo Cup, or a short ECWA K-Cup. And this annual event is held for tag teams. So keep a lookout for that. And in addition to the aforementioned accomplishment, ECWA has its own Hall of Fame. And while it has no physical locations, names worth noting as ECW Hall of Fame members include Jim Kettner, Simon Diamond, Cheetah Master, A. Sterling, who, by the way, won the first Super 8 championship, Christopher Daniels, Crowbar, and Low Key, and that's just a few guys to name. Wikipedia has a complete link of the ECWA Hall of Fame, and I'm going to throw that link on our Facebook wall as well. And on a final note about ECWA, they will be hosting their 46th anniversary show on September 7th, 2013, and that is going to take place at the Greater Newark Boys and Girls Club, which is located on 109 Glasgow Drive on Route 40, and the number 1 positive place, Newark, Delaware. Doors are going to be open at 6 p.m. with bell time at 7 o'clock. A portion of the proceeds from this show will benefit the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. As with other ECWA shows, this event is family friendly. A Facebook page for this event is currently online if you want to check that out. It's all complete with ticket information, up-to-date news, the card, and the whole bit. So be sure to support these guys. Support your indie wrestlers and the Boys and Girls Club. And switching gears for a moment, I am over the moon today with a fan page I help administrate on Facebook. And I was made an administrator in March of the WCW and WWE Superstar Billy Kidman Facebook fan page. And it's gotten quite a bit of attention in the last several months. However, we hit a milestone today when we surpassed over 2,000 likes. And it's rising as of this broadcast. If you haven't discovered it yet, I'll hit up a link and you can come over, check us out, join the fun, give us your insights, whatever. Everybody's welcome. And on a final note during this wrestling-themed broadcast today, we have a few minutes left. I had an opportunity last week to view the 2010 documentary Card Subject to Change. This documentary's official description reads the following. Card Subject to Change will bring you deep inside the underground and extraordinary world of professional wrestling. Card Subject to Change follows several wrestlers working on the local independent circuit of pro wrestling. It's been compared to the minor leagues of professional baseball, but indie wrestling is truly unlike any other business in history. Card Subject to Change profiles the lives of some of the wrestling's most compelling personalities, from a talented up-and-comer to a legend who has changed the scope of the industry. They all come together and perform in VFW halls, high school gyms, and Elks lodges across the country. Card Subject to Change also features interviews with some of the most legendary names in history of wrestling and classic footage that has never been seen before. And I'm going to run down the list of people who appear in this movie. See if you can recognize any names. I'm sure you'll know a few. We have Kevin Sullivan, Johnny Falco, Michael Verde, who is known as Trent Acid, Everett Titus, who is known as Rhett Titus, Lacey Von Erich, Terry Brunk, known as Sabu, Billy Graham, Brian James, known as BG James, Dylan Keith Summers, who is known as Necro Butcher, Terry Funk, James Cornette, Peter Gruner, known as Billy Kidman, Matt Hyson, known as Brother Runt, Sherry Martel, Tom Pritchard, wow, I mean, a lot of people are in this food. Ronnie Supp, as we know, is Kip James, Bill Apter, Ox Baker, Nick Dinsmore, Tom Brandy as Salvatore Sincere, King Kong Bundy, Jim Harris, known as Kamala, the late William Moody, as we know as Percy Pringle, Rod Zombie, Brian Knighton, Axel Rotten, Viscera, Little Guido, Balls Mahoney, Danny Doring, Pat Kenny, Julio De Niro, Rod Echoes, The Equalizer, Orlando Jordan, John Sutter, and Sergeant Jimmy Storm. It's quite a few guys on here. And let's see how many of those names you recommend. But anyway, this documentary received some mixed reviews, and quite a few of them were positive. If you ever wanted to look behind the scenes of professional wrestling without the gloss over content, I highly recommend watching Card Subject to Change. So if you ever get a chance for that, and it is free online at Hulu. I'll throw up that link later on. And unfortunately, we're winding down for today's show. And I'd like to invite all of you to tune in next week, which will take place on Wednesday, August 7th, pending any changes, because you never know when something's going to come up, that I can't control. But once again, I'd like to thank all of you for listening. Have a wonderful weekend. And for those of you in Pittsburgh, if you're going to Pittsburgh Steelers training camp, have a blast, get lots of autographs, and take lots of pictures. Have fun. Take care, and I will see you next week right here.